Hey everyone. Last month during January, I took a pretty nice little break from having coffee or tea every single day, and it was a pretty powerful experience. So I want to share some of those results with you here today. Basically, during the month of January, I really only had caffeine like a handful of times throughout the month, probably less than 5 times, where I would go for a period of days and even in some cases up to a week without having it. Now, taking a break from caffeine like this is something that I had been meaning to do for quite a while because, you know, I've really noticed for years that having coffee, drinking coffee as a daily ritual really just ultimately leads to symptoms of burnout. It doesn't help with ongoing stress levels and anxiety levels, especially at my job, which is very demanding, and that it also contributes to a lot of frustration and anger that I'll sometimes feel at my coworkers or even directed towards myself. Another thing that I was really tired of that I knew that coffee was contributing to was these wild swings in my energy levels where I would feel all like jacked up and crazy, and then a couple of hours later be totally just tired and dead and just right in the middle of the day, just be totally fatigued and worn out. That all being said, here are some of the biggest benefits and results that I want to share with you that I realized as a result of doing this experiment from taking a break from caffeine. First and foremost, because I know this is probably the biggest question that people would have, is that I'm here to tell you I still had energy and was not a total zombie without caffeine. In general, my energy levels were much more stable throughout the day, and I didn't have such extreme fluctuations like I had mentioned earlier, where I'd just go from totally jacked up and crazy, all jittery, to just totally flattened and yawning and tired right in the middle of the day. Overall, I felt like I had plenty of energy most days, even without caffeine, to do everything that I had to do and get through the day just fine. So that really wasn't an issue. Another big benefit that I got from taking this break from caffeine was that I noticed that I was able to manage my anxiety a lot better than I would have if I had still been drinking coffee. And this was especially true because January was a very hectic and stressful month at work, like more so than usual. So I think this little experiment coincided very nicely with the timing of that. Even without caffeine, I would definitely still feel stressed and overwhelmed sometimes. But in general, it was a much greater help to me not to have that added stimulation and all that extra cortisol that I would have had from having caffeine. So I'm really glad that I was able to give it a break at this time when I really honestly needed to. As far as sleep was concerned, I can say for sure that my sleep definitely improved at least a little bit, and I can even kind of say that objectively because I measured my sleep, the quality of my rest, using my Fitbit for quite a few nights during the month, and I would generally find that on average, the sleep score tended to be a few points higher on all those nights where all those days and nights where I didn't have any caffeine. In fact, I think I hit the highest sleep score that I'd ever achieved while measuring my sleep during this period of time. I will say that sometimes in the evenings, I was more sleepy and didn't have quite as much energy in the evenings, but that I would feel very like peaceful and just settled overall, which really, when you think about it, isn't a bad thing. I mean, we definitely want to be winding down and shifting into that kind of more restful mode as we're gearing up for bed every night. So those were some of the biggest takeaways that I got from doing this little experiment of taking a break from caffeine for the better part of a month. And I will say that now here in February, as of about 2 weeks ago, I went back to having caffeine again, but I think that my relationship with the drug has really improved greatly. I realize now what a wonder drug that it really is, and it really is no wonder to me that it is honestly the most widely used drug throughout the entire world. Taking a break from caffeine really helps me to appreciate it more when I have it now. And I definitely love that boost in energy levels and even the boost that I get to my mood sometimes from having it. But I definitely don't want to get into a situation again where I'm overdoing it and just having it every day as a ritual, because I know that there are many days where I'm just simply better off without it. It's very clear that that's the case now. I'm really now finding, after this month of going without caffeine for the better part of the month, that, you know, just in general, I feel much more like well regulated in terms of my physiology and nervous system, and that I just feel overall more balanced and less stressed. I'd say in general, I feel more well rested and just less irritable and just more like emotionally balanced throughout the day. So if you're someone who really suffers from a lot of chronic stress and symptoms of burnout and just feeling like you're always tired or never getting enough sleep, even if you sleep like 10 hours a night, you may seriously, and also if you're, you know, experiencing like a lot of anxiety that comes up throughout the days, I would really urge you to at least consider your relationship with caffeine, if it is something that you indulge in on a daily basis. Like I said, I think that it's clear that caffeine is really a wonder drug, but I think that when we're just in the habit of just kind of mindlessly consuming it like multiple times per day, and by the way, I was really only typically having 1 cup a day, so everybody's very different, but if you're kind of like in this mode of relying on caffeine to get through the day, and you're experiencing like any of the kinds of symptoms that I was just discussing, you may seriously want to kind of reconsider your relationship with it and see how maybe cutting back or kind of weaning off it, and maybe even trying what I did, where even you take a couple of days without it, it might do you a lot of good. Now, obviously, there can be withdrawal symptoms if you go from having like 3 or 4 cups a day down to none. So again, it really depends on your unique situation. But in general, I would say, yeah, there's probably a lot of benefit that you can realize from changing the dynamic of your relationship with this most widely used drug throughout the entire planet. So that's it for this one. Please be sure to give this video a like if you found this interesting, and definitely be sure to leave me a comment if you still have any questions for me about my little experiment with taking such an extended break from caffeine. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.